Well, good morning. I love today's reading. It's really quite something. It's also my birthday, so I'm celebrating speaking to you, drinking a coffee. And you know what I got for my birthday was quite special. A bit unusual, I suppose, but special. Elliot, my son, finally bought his first house this week. I was there last night to see it. It had been a bit traumatic. He had to drive all the way to Sheffield to get a signature off a company that wasn't listening to the solicitors, and he had to do the job for them. And the great news was that it meant that he didn't lose his mortgage, because obviously they've gone up in cost, and he might not have been able to afford the house after. So he did a great job, and it sort of released him to move his life on. And what's been interesting for me is I've been reflecting that it's also released me to move my life on. I'm no longer a dad with somebody at home that I've got to look after, so I'm empty nested. And that's a really interesting gift, isn't it? I'm 59, and I'm now empty nested. I've got all sorts of freedoms that I never had before, all sorts of opportunities that opened up, all sorts of chances to find happiness, grow, help other people, and also lots of opportunities to not do it so well, to make a mess of it. In our reading today, Jesus meets a man who has been crippled for 38 years and has been sat by these waters that obviously are thought of to have healing powers, and when they bubble, everybody jumps in and hopes to get better. But he couldn't move around, he had nobody help him, and he'd been there for 38 years. And Jesus comes along and says, well, do you want to get better? It's a really interesting question. The guy's been sat there on this mat for 38 years. And when the guy says, yeah, I do, really, nobody's been here to help me, Jesus bypasses the system. He doesn't get into the water and follow everybody else's routines. He just says, well, you get better. Get up and pick up your mat. Pick up your mat. So off he does and carries his mat. He gets into all sorts of trouble because it's a Sabbath, and Jesus has cured somebody, which is seen as work by the powers that be, even though it's 8 years since he's been crippled. So, and the mat is a sign of that, and it gets the guy into trouble. And it struck me that it's a little bit like my birthday present of becoming empty nested. It's a double-edged sword, isn't it? But we need a helping hand to move our lives on, and we also have to take the responsibility that we have to see the positives and potentially the negatives and still go ahead. It's a do we want to get better question, isn't it? And yet, this is a whole releasing thing for both of us. It's a moving forward for both of us. And I looked at our reading today and thought, how marvellous is that? This is Jesus breaking all the local rules, all the organisational rules, getting alongside somebody who has never had anybody alongside him, and helping him out and getting him to do it. And the guy wants to move on and take the risk. So I wonder what risks you're prepared to take. Are you prepared to open yourself up to the future? Are you prepared to be helped? As Methodists, we've got all sorts going on at the moment in terms of warm hubs and things like that, but we also know people have got to be prepared to turn up and be part of it. Down in Clive, I'm wearing my Gansey today. We've been running wellbeing courses which are going down really well, but actually getting people over the threshold is quite interesting. But afterwards they start joining other groups and getting involved in more stuff. In fact, many of the people who come to our wellbeing groups are now volunteering full time with us because it suddenly released them. And then they get a bit of grief at home because, husbands or wives are saying, well, what are you doing? You're out. So they're enjoying it though. They're moving on, they're growing their lives. And I look at our circuit and think, as a church, are we helping people move on, change their lives? This whole well-being thing is massively important, reads well into this reading today. You know, we've got an NHS that can't handle anything beyond the emergencies, and even not them at the moment. And so offering warm hubs, offering spaces for people to grow and be together, it's actually all about well-being. It's all about keeping people healthy and happy and engaged. We as Methodists can do that. We can be the person that's there for people. We can do that with this Kids Matter programme. We've got our Zoom meeting on Monday night to talk about that. But actually, are we not there to hold the hands of people who are struggling, people who actually say, yeah, I want to change, I want to sort stuff out, I recognise there's issues? We can hold people's hands. So my prayer for us today is for us individually to recognise where we need to have the help and the encouragement and the bravery to be able to step beyond where we are today with a bit of the support of God and the Spirit. And also, how do we help our communities and the people around us as Methodists to do the same? Because that's exactly what Jesus did. He got out there, he got into the world, and he helped somebody who hadn't been helped for 38 years. And but he did ask them, do you want to get better? And he did get him to carry his mat, which was a sign that something was different, and it caused him just a little bit of difficulty. We've got to be brave. But can we do it? And I pray we can. God bless you all.